Okay, so we're gonna start today in constructive rest. So we're gonna start on our backs with knees bent, feet at the outer edges of your mat, and the knees tent together. So the knees are touching, and I'll get up and demonstrate that. And for your arms, I'm gonna have you cactus your arms if that feels good to you. So your arms, so basically you're gonna bend your elbows and then have the backs of your hands and the backs of your arms come down to the floor. And if that doesn't feel good to you, you want to keep your hands on your belly or something, you can do that, or just place them at your sides. Otherwise, this might feel good. This might be a nice shoulder and neck stretch. See if you can find a little bit of length in the back of your neck. So like tucking your chin a little bit here even. And again, knees are tented, feet are at the outer edges of your mat. Take a couple of breaths here to settle in. Bringing your awareness to your breath. Just feeling the rise and fall of your belly and chest with each breath cycle. Noticing any sensations in your shoulders or arms or in your hips or anywhere. Tuning inwards for a few breaths. Something that we don't have the opportunity to do very much in our daily lives, especially these days, at least for me. We're going to do a breathing exercise to start out, a little bit of pranayama. So release all the air from your lungs. And then take a deep inhale through your nose for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold at the top for 3, 2, 1. And then exhale through the mouth for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then just breathe normally. If that felt strained at all, we'll go ahead and do a little bit of a shorter count next time. So again, releasing all the air from your lungs. Take a big inhale through your nose for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold at the top for 3, 2, 1, and then release through the mouth for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then just breathe normally. And then you can do that one more time on your own. So picking whatever count works for you, trying to extend the exhale a little bit and hold a little bit at the top. So release all the air from your lungs one more time. And then take a big inhale through your nose for whatever count works best for you. Hold at the top. And then release through your mouth. And then breathe normally. Noticing how that felt, if you feel any differently after doing that breathing exercise, and if not, that's okay. Even if you don't notice anything, we're sending a signal to the parasympathetic nervous system to kick in here. That we're here to restore, to rest, to relax. And just allow your breathing to be deeper than normal throughout this class. So one way that you can do that is just feel your breath as it comes in through your lungs and filling your lungs and even making your belly rise a little bit. So just having like a deep belly breath And if the Ujjayi breath is in your yoga practice, you're welcome to use that as well, but I'm not going to teach that today. So deepening your breath in a way that feels comfortable to you. We're going to begin to tick-tock our knees from side to side. So allow your knees, both knees, to fall towards the right side of your mat. And then to the left. You can keep your arms where they are if you're in cactus. Going back to the right side with your knees, and then the left. Whatever pace or rhythm feels good to you. Opening up the sacral area, the hips. It might even feel good to take a hold of opposite elbows overhead if you want a little more sensation in your shoulders. And then the next time your knees come down to the right side of your mat, allow them to stay there. Bring your arms out to a T. So your fingertips are stretching, reaching in opposite directions. And if you'd like, you can have your gaze straight overhead or slightly over your left shoulder. So we're getting a little bit of a spinal twist here. If you want more sensation, you can experiment with taking your right foot and bringing it on top of your left knee, like just above your left knee, and drawing that knee down towards your mat. Only if that feels good. If it doesn't, don't do it. A couple more breaths here. And then on your next inhale, bring your knees back up to center and then allow them to fall down towards the left side. Gaze is overhead or slightly over your right shoulder. And then again, you can experiment with bringing your left foot on top of your right knee, drawing it down towards your mat if that feels okay. And then with your next inhale, bring your knees back up to center. Draw your knees into your chest now. So you can either have your knees together or have one knee in each hand and rock from side to side, bringing each knee in towards your armpit. So just experiment with what your body wants, what feels good to you. Rocking from side to side. And then allow your feet to come down to your mat again. So the soles of the feet are flat. Your feet are parallel and they're about hips width apart. And then bring your arms down along your sides. See if you can touch or brush your heels with your fingertips. So that's kind of like the position that you want. We're going to do a couple of flowing bridges here. So on an inhale, press your feet into your mat. Begin to lift your hips. And at the same time, lift your arms so that your arms extend all the way overhead when your hips come all the way up. And then as you exhale, lower your hips down slowly to the earth and allow your arms to return back to your sides. Inhaling again, pressing your feet into the earth, lifting your hips and your arms, reaching overhead. Exhaling, lowering everything back down. Continuing this with your own breath cycle, a few more rounds, noticing if your knees are wanting to splay out at the top. See if you can energetically draw them towards each other so that your thighs stay more or less parallel. Doesn't have to be perfect. Do one more full round. And then once you come back down, go ahead and find your strap or your belt, whatever you're using, keeping your feet where they are for now. Your left foot stays on your mat, and then you're going to bring the strap around the back of your, like the sole of your right foot, anywhere but on the actual arch. So I like to have mine just sort of like right behind my big toe pad, not on my toes, but a little bit below. Or you might find that you like it just like right above your heel. So either way, you're going to be pressing the sole of your foot towards the sky, holding onto the strap with one end in each hand, and then allow your shoulders to remain on the mat. So if you find that you're like lifting up and reaching, try not to do that. Because we want this to be a little bit of a relaxed pose in the shoulders, but then the foot is very active. Your right foot is actively pressing into the strap and pressing up towards the sky. Try to reduce some of the tension in your hands if you feel like your hands are straining. A lot of the work here is in the leg. Find your breath. And then press your left foot into your mat so that you lift your hips just a little bit. Notice if that changes sensation for you. And then release that back down. And then if you'd like to extend your left leg long, you can go ahead and do that. So your left leg is extending on your mat and the sole of your left foot is pressing away from you as well. So both legs are active here. Try not to lock your right knee. So keep a micro bend in your right knee. Keep your shoulders on your mat. Getting a hamstring stretch here. You may be feeling it in your calves as well. And breathe. And then take both ends of the strap or the belt in your right hand. And then allow your right foot to begin to drop out towards the right. You don't have to go all the way down to the floor unless you feel like you want to. When I start to go too far, my left hip pops up and I'm trying to keep both my hips grounded. You might even put your left hand on top of your left hip just to kind of give you some support there, some leverage. Continuing to press your right foot into the strap. And then with your next inhale, come back to center, switch hands. So now the strap ends are going into your left hand. And then begin to draw your foot across your body. I'm stopping when my right foot is in line with my left shoulder because that stretch feels good to me. That's going to be a pretty intense IT band stretch. If you're not loving that, you can extend, drawing your leg a little bit closer to the floor. So just experiment with what feels good for you, just depending on like where you might be sore, where you might be tight. Your other arm, your right arm can come down to the side or out to like a T to give you a little bit of support. And then with an inhale, come back to center and then bend your right knee, release the strap, place your right foot down on the earth. And then bend your left knee and then get the strap around the sole of your left foot. So switching sides. So sole of the right foot is on the mat. Left foot presses up into the strap and towards the sky. Shoulders are released onto your mat. Left leg is active. Notice if you have one leg that's tighter than the other today. And then begin to press the sole of your right foot into the mat, lifting your hips just a little here. Notice if that changes the stretch. And then release. And then extend your right leg long. Sole of the right foot pressing away from you. Sole of the left foot pressing into the strap, up towards the sky. Micro bend in your left knee. And breathe. Then bring both ends of the strap or the belt into your left hand and allow your left foot to draw out towards the left. Again, I'm using my right hand to rest on top of my right hip bone, just to keep me a little bit grounded. And with an inhale, come back through center, switch hands with the strap. And then begin to draw your foot to the right. Again, I'm stopping when my foot is in line with my right shoulder. But you can carry it down a little bit more all the way to the earth, whatever feels good. One more breath. And then on an inhale, come back to center. Release your foot from the strap. You can place it to the side for now. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. And then release both feet down to the mat again, so knees are bent. And then go ahead and cross your right leg over your left. So we're gonna come into an eagle sit-up. So crossing your right leg over your left, then I'm gonna give you a couple of options for the arms. So if we're gonna do eagle arms, you're gonna take your right elbow underneath your left. So your elbows are bent, right elbow is coming underneath the left. And if it's available to you, then you can bring the palms of your hands together. So that's like a very twisty arm position. If that doesn't feel good, see if the backs of your hands can touch. And if you can't, if this isn't accessible to you today, then just go ahead and give yourself like a bear hug. So you're just crossing your elbows. So there's three, crossing your arms across your body. 3 options for the arms. So I'm gonna do the first option. And then for your legs, your right leg is crossed. So I'm gonna sort of Velcro my right heel into my left ankle, or you could wrap that foot all the way under your left ankle if that is available to you. And then on an inhale, you're going to draw your fingers back behind you. So behind your head, if you're doing that arm position. And then on an exhale, draw your knees and your elbows towards each other, coming into a crunch. Inhale, release everything down, fingertips overhead. Exhale, crunch. Inhale back. Exhale, crunch. We have 2 more on this side. And if you're just doing the bear hug arms, then you can just be drawing your chest up towards your knees with your arms across your chest. Those are the last ones. When you come back down, release everything, and then go ahead and cross your left knee over your right, and then your left arm goes under your right elbow. So again, taking whatever hand position works for you. Inhale, reach your fingertips back behind you. Exhale, come into a crunch, elbow to knees. Inhale back. Exhale, crunch. Inhale down. Exhale, crunching. Eagle sit-ups, 2 more. On your own, with your breath. Nice, you guys, when you come back down, you can release everything. Take a full body stretch, so extend your legs long, reach your arms overhead, point and flex your toes. And then bend your knees, bring your hands underneath the backs of your knees and begin to rock up. We're gonna make our way to a seated position. Just take your time, there's no rush to get there. Have your strap nearby, and you can just sit cross-legged. So find a comfortable seat. Inhale, roll your shoulders up to your ears, and as you exhale, roll them down your back. Extend the crown of your head towards the sky. Find length in the back of your neck again. On an inhale, lengthen a little bit more if you can. And on an exhale, draw your right ear towards your right shoulder. Inhale back up to center. Exhale, left ear to left shoulder. Inhale, center. Exhale, right ear to right shoulder. Inhale, back up. Exhale, left ear to left shoulder. And then here you can begin to draw your chin towards your chest. When you inhale, bring your right ear towards your shoulder again. And then as you exhale, chin to chest. Circling to the other side. So we're doing just like little half circles here for the neck. Trying to flow with your breath. So keeping these slow. And if you find that you want to do full circles, you can do so. Just try not to compress the back of your neck. It doesn't feel good in my neck, so I just like to do it like this. And then make your way back to center and then find your strap or your belt again. So we're gonna take the strap in both hands, start by extending the strap in front of you, and then find some length with the strap so that your hands are basically sort of extending out to the sides of your mat, if that makes sense. So I have like a fairly wide stance the way that I'm holding my strap here. And then engage your belly a little bit so that you're gonna support your low back as we begin this exercise. So on an inhale, you're going to reach your hands overhead. And then as you exhale, you're going to see if you can lower your hands behind you a little bit. You might have to really extend your hands on the strap to give yourself enough room. This should not be excruciating. So as you inhale, you come back up, and as you exhale, come back to where we started. So you can have as wide of a stance with your hands, continue to inhale, lift overhead, exhale your arms down behind you, just about halfway. Again, giving yourself as much room as you need on your strap. Finding length in the back of your neck still, a little bit of engagement in the core. And then now that we've warmed up our shoulders a little bit, the next time you come up overhead, see if you can reduce the width of the space in between your hands. And then just see if you have any room or any margin to go back with that reduced width. Just see how that feels. Again, don't do something that's gonna make you make faces, because that's not the goal. Or to curse me, because that's definitely not the goal. The next time you come overhead, stay there. Inhale, reach your hands high. And then as you exhale, just take a side bend to the left. And with your next inhale, come back to center. And then exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale back overhead, and then exhale, you can release your arms in front of you, and then set the strap aside. And then we're gonna do a different type of shoulder stretch here. So the theme today is eagle. You all use that to get into the Zoom call. So on an inhale, sweep your arms overhead, lift your gaze, and then let your palms meet. Exhale your hands down in front of your heart. Next time, we'll do that same thing again, inhaling, reaching the arms overhead. This time, bend your elbows, take your right elbow underneath your left. So eagle arms again, just like in the sit-ups. So again, options for the hands to be touching backs of the hands, or just a bear hug. So whatever works for you. So wherever you are, on an inhale, begin to lift your gaze, lift your elbows up towards the sky. So getting like a little bit of a stretch in your spine. And then as you exhale, round through the shoulders, tuck your chin, draw your elbows towards your belly. Inhale, do the same thing, lifting up, lifting your gaze. We're just flexing and extending through the spine, and it's fine if you're just doing a bear hug with your arms. A couple more breaths. Do one more wherever you are. And then release your arms. Go ahead and change the cross of your legs. So this will be probably the awkward leg cross. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, let your palms meet. Exhale them down in front of your heart. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. And then this time take the opposite elbows. So right, for me, I think it's the right elbow is under, or maybe it's the left. I think it's the left. So find whichever one feels like the one you didn't do before. And then on an inhale, begin to lift your gaze, lift your elbows up. Exhale, round through the shoulders, tuck your chin. Scoop your tailbone a little bit. Inhale, come back up. So again, we're just warming up the spine, but also getting a little bit of added shoulder bonus here. Continuing with your own breath. And do one more wherever you are. Nice job, you guys. Go ahead and release, shake out your arms, and then we're gonna make our way into a tabletop. So no rush to get there. We're just come into a tabletop, hands and knees. Your knees are hips distance apart. Your hips are directly over your knees, and then your shoulders are above your wrists. And we'll do a few just typical cat-cows here. So as you inhale, allow your belly to drop, lift your gaze, lift your tailbone. As you exhale, round through the shoulders, press the mat away from you, scoop your tailbone, tuck your chin. Inhaling, belly drops, tailbone and gaze lift. Exhale, round through the shoulders, press your mat away from you, scoop the tailbone, tuck the chin. Couple more on your own, and if you find that you want some additional movement here, I like to sway from side to side as I move through these spinal flexion and extension movements. So you can experiment. Nobody's watching you, so you can do whatever movement feels right, even if you think it looks a little weird. If you decide to circle, go ahead and switch directions. And then make your way back to center. We're gonna come into puppy here. So your hips stay over your knees, and then you're just gonna walk your hands towards the top of your mat. So again, another shoulder stretch, and then so your arms are straight, and then melt your heart towards your mat. So your forehead might come down to your mat or not. Again, hips are over your knees. And then lower down to your forearms, make your way onto your belly. We're moving into Sphinx pose. So your elbows are underneath your shoulders or maybe slightly ahead of them. Palms are flat on the earth or your mat. And then energetically, you're actually sort of drawing your hands towards you. And then your legs, you are pressing into your mat. So even your toes, the backs of your toes are pressing down. And then just begin to lift a little bit, lift through your heart, draw your hands energetically towards you. Inhale, lift a little higher if you can, find a little more space. And then exhale, release. Draw your hands underneath your shoulders and then let your hands go all the way back behind you. So my chin is a little bit lifted right now. I'm going to interlace my hands behind my back. And then on my next inhale, I'm going to lift up, lift my chest, and then lift my feet off the earth. So we're coming into locust pose. And then my hands are interlaced behind me, pressing away from my body. If the interlace doesn't work, just have your hands be out in Superman arms. One more breath. See if you can lift your feet a little higher. And then exhale, release. Hands come underneath your shoulders. On an inhale, press your hands into your mat. Lift up into baby cobra. Elbows are drawing in towards your sides. Exhale, release. On an inhale, begin to lift up into cobra. Move through tabletop as you make your way into your first downward facing dog. So you can have a wide stance here with your feet. I like to have my feet almost near the outer edges of my mat. And for this first down dog, have your knees bent a lot. Send your chest back towards your thighs. Press strongly into your hands. Let your head hang. You might alternately straighten one knee and then the other, pedaling out your feet. And then find stillness, and with your next inhale, shift into a plank position. So shifting your weight, draw your low belly in and up, and then lower into a forearm plank. So I'm lowering into my forearms. Take a couple of breaths, belly is engaged. And with your next exhale, lower back into Sphinx. So elbows are underneath your shoulders, hands are down. Inhale, lift through the heart.
Exhale, lower all the way down. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. We're gonna do that again. So on an inhale, lift up into cobra, elbows squeeze in towards your sides. Exhale, move through tabletop as you make your way to downward facing dog. Take a breath here. Then with your next inhale, make your way into a high plank. Draw your low belly in and up. And then with an exhale, lower onto your forearms, forearm plank for 2 breaths. With your next exhale, lower all the way down into Sphinx. Palm of the hands come down, lift through the heart. Legs are pressing into your mat. And then exhale, release. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Inhale, lift up to cobra. Exhale, down dog. And then make your way into a child's pose as you're ready. So you can do a wide knee child's pose. Knees at the outer edges of your mat. Arms extending towards the top of your mat. Forehead comes down. Take a couple of moments here to check in. See how your body is feeling. Observe your breath. And know that you can come to this position at any point in your practice. If something isn't feeling right or you're tired, you want to take a break, you can come right here. Couple more breaths here. And then as you're ready, begin to lift your head and chest up. We're going to make our way back into a downward facing dog. Taking your time, there's no rush. Once you're in your dog, on an inhale, lift your heels, look forward, and begin to walk your feet towards your hands at the front of your mat, coming into a forward fold, Uttanasana at the front of your mat. Your knees can be slightly bent here. Your head is hanging. Bend your knees as much as you need to so that your fingertips touch the earth. If you have blocks and you want to use blocks here, you can. Putting your hands on a block. You can take a hold of opposite elbows here and sway if you'd like. Just a couple more breaths here. This is a great hamstring stretch. Good for the back and neck too. Bring your hands down to the earth again if they weren't already there. And then on your next inhale, slide your hands up your shins. Lift up halfway to a flat back. As you exhale, sweep your hands down your calves. Come all the way back down into your forward fold. Same thing again. Inhale, lift up halfway to a flat back, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, sweep your hands along your calves as you come back down. One more time, inhale up, hands up the shins, lifting up halfway. Exhale, sweep your hands along your calves, come all the way back down. On your next inhale, press your feet into the earth, sweep your arms overhead, come all the way up, lift your gaze, allow your palms to meet. Exhale your hands in front of your heart. Nice, and I'm gonna just adjust my monitor here so you can hopefully see me without my head being cut off. Okay, so now bring your hands to your hips and we're gonna take a big step back with the right foot. So we're coming into a high lunge. So right foot, right heel is lifted. Take your time to get there, and this doesn't have to be like a huge stance. Basically, when you bend your left knee, you just want to make sure that that knee does not go ahead of your ankle, okay? So your hands are on your hips to start, and then engage your glutes, especially your right glute, and then draw your inner thighs towards each other. So that's going to help to protect your hip joints here. Lift through the crown of the head. On an inhale, if it feels good and your balance is okay today, go ahead and reach your fingertips high overhead so arms are alongside the ears. You might lift your gaze a little bit, or your hands can remain on your hips, either way. Inhale, reach your fingertips high if they're overhead. And then as you exhale, we're coming into an open twist to the left. So I'm looking to the left. My left hand is reaching back behind me. Right hand is towards the front of my mat. My glutes are still engaged. My inner thighs are drawing towards each other. On an inhale, sweep the arms overhead again, lift your gaze. Exhale your hands down to frame your foot. Make your way back into a plank. We're gonna do a vinyasa here. So on an inhale, lift, shift your weight forward a little bit. And then as you exhale, lower down to knees, belly, chest, or through chaturanga if that's in your practice. On an inhale, lift up to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a breath here. On your next inhale, lift your heels, look forward, begin to walk your feet forward to meet your hands again. Inhale, sweep your hands up along your shins, lift up halfway. Exhale, sweep your hands along your calves, lower your head. Inhale, press into the earth with your feet, reach your arms overhead, allow your palms to meet. Exhale them down in front of your heart. Bring your hands to your hips. We're gonna do the same thing that we did on the second side. So go ahead and take a big step back with your left foot, coming into a high lunge, second side, right knee is bent, checking to make sure that knee does not go ahead of your ankle. Squeezing your left glute, drawing your inner thighs towards each other. And if it's okay with your balance, on an inhale, sweep your arms overhead. Lift your gaze. With your next inhale, reach a little bit more. And then exhale, open twist to the right. Keeping your legs engaged here, your glutes. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale your hands down to frame your foot. Step back to plank. Option to go straight back to down dog or move through a vinyasa on your own. So as you exhale, coming down, inhaling up into cobra or upward facing dog. Exhaling, pressing back into downward facing dog. Take a breath here. On an inhale, lift your heels, look forward, step or hop forward to the front of your mat. Inhale, lift up halfway to a flat back. Exhale, sweep your hands along your calves, come down, forward fold. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, let your palms meet, lift your gaze. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. Bring your hands to your hips again. We're gonna take a step back with the right foot again, and this time we're gonna move into warrior two. So first, get your feet, get your stance. You have heel to arch alignment, heel of the front foot is in line with the arch of the back foot. And then bring your arms out to a T. Gaze is over your left fingertips. Right hand is reaching back behind you. Look down at your left knee. See if it looks like it's falling inward a little bit. You can even help it drop back towards the left side of your mat. Inhale your shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, roll your shoulders down your back. Nice, warrior two. And then flip the palm of your left hand up to face the sky. On an inhale, lean forward slightly, scoop the air, and then as you exhale, reverse your warrior. So your right hand comes down your back leg, resting anywhere but on your knee joint. Left hand is overhead. On an inhale, make your way back to warrior two. And then straighten your left leg. We're gonna move into triangle now. So heel toe your back foot in an inch or two. It's a slightly shorter stance. You still have heel to arch alignment. Your arms are still at a T. And then begin to shift your hips back towards the back of your mat. Lean forward, reach, lengthen forward, and then allow your left hand to come down to maybe your shin or maybe the floor. reaching your right fingertips high. Your gaze can be towards the ceiling if that feels okay in your neck, but don't wrench your neck here. Feet are active here. Strong legs. Almost as if you were drawing the mat, stretching the mat in between your 2 feet. On an inhale, come all the way back up. Arms are at a T. Bring your hands to your hips and then pivot your left toes so that they're parallel to your right. Keep your stance as it is. On an inhale, lengthen through the crown of your head. As you exhale, hinge at the hips, begin to fold forwards. We're doing a wide-legged forward fold here. Fingertips can come down to the earth or to a block. Or option for more shoulder action here. If you want to interlace your fingers behind your back, you can reach your hands overhead. Allow your head to hang. It might feel good to pigeon toe your feet a little bit here, so you can play with that. Couple of breaths. Bring your hands back to your hips wherever you are. Draw your elbows towards each other. Engage your low belly a little bit, and as you inhale, begin to lift up, come up with a flat back, come back up to standing. Bring your arms out to a T again, and then begin to pivot your right toes towards the back of your mat. So we're coming into triangle on the second side, but this time facing a different direction. So the heel of your right foot should be in line with the arch of your left foot. Shift your hips back a little bit, lengthen your right arm forward, and then release your right hand down to your shin or to the earth. Left fingertips reach overhead, feet are engaged, and breathe. Find your deep belly breath as much as you can. On an inhale, come all the way back up, and then we're going to heel toe our back foot back an inch or 2. We're getting ready for warrior 2. So keeping the same heel to arch alignment, bend your right knee. So your right knee again is bending in a safe way, so it's not going ahead of your ankle. See if you can energetically draw your right knee to the right, gaze over your right fingertips. Inhale your shoulders up to your ears, and exhale, roll them down your back. See if you can bring some weight to the outer edge of your left foot to lift through the arch there a little bit. And then flip your right palm up to face the sky. On an inhale, lean forward a little bit, scoop the air, exhale, reverse your warrior. Left hand comes down your back leg. Strong legs here. Notice if your right knee fell inwards a little bit. See if you can draw it out to the right. On an inhale, make your way back to warrior 2, arms in a T. And then as you exhale, cartwheel your arms down to frame your foot. So your hands are framing your foot, you're in a lunge. And then step back to either plank or straight back to downward dog. If you're in plank, you'll inhale, shift your weight forward. Exhale, lower down knees, belly, chest, or through chaturanga. Inhale, pressing up to cobra or up dog. Exhaling to downward facing dog. Take a breath. Say hello to the back of your mat. Inhale, lift your heels. Begin to shift your weight forward and then step or hop forward to the back of your mat. Forward fold. On an inhale, come up halfway to a flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, allow your palms to meet. Exhale them down in front of your heart. Now I know you can't see me, but don't worry, you're gonna know what to do next. We're gonna be doing something very similar, so bring your hands to your hips again. Take a big step back with your right foot, and then make your way into warrior 2 again. So heel of your left foot in line with the arch of your right. Bring your arms up to a T. Warrior 2, gazes over your left fingertips. With your next inhale, straighten your left knee. Allow your palms to meet overhead, lift your gaze. Exhale, draw your hands through your heart center. And then rebend your left knee, come back to warrior two. You can do this with your own breath. So as you inhale, straighten your knee, palms meet. Exhale, rebend, come back into warrior two. Find a flow here with your own breath cycle. Couple more rounds. The next time you come back into warrior two, stay there. Bring your hands to your hips, straighten your left knee again, and then pivot your left toes so that they're parallel with your right. We're getting ready for a wide-legged forward fold in the other direction. Inhale, lengthen through the crown of your head. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward. You can widen your stance here a little bit if you want, or just keep it where it was. Again, maybe slightly pigeon-toeing your feet. Allow your head to hang. Option to interlace your hands behind your back for a shoulder stretch. If you do that, take the opposite interlace of what you did before. So it would probably be the awkward interlace. Reaching the hands up overhead. Or it might feel good if you're not doing the shoulder stretch to, if you have your hands in front of you, to bend one knee and then the other, getting a little bit more of a stretch on the inner sides of your legs, groin area. And then make your way back to stillness. Bring your hands to your hips, draw your elbows towards each other, engage your core, lift up to a flat back, and then come all the way up. And then clock your right toes to the top of your mat. We're getting ready for warrior two on the right side again. So heel of your right foot align with the arch of your left foot, bend your right knee, arms out to a T, warrior two. On an inhale, straighten your front knee, reach the hands up to meet overhead. Exhale them down in front of your heart, back to warrior two. Inhale, straighten, reach, lift. Exhale, rebend, warrior two. Find your flow here with your breath. The next time you're back in warrior two, stay there. Spin your back heel up, cartwheel your arms down to frame your front foot. Step back, directly back to downward dog this time, unless you'd like to do vinyasa. Take a couple of breaths in down dog. Lift your heels on an inhale, look forward, step or hop to the front of your mat, to your forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway to a flat back. Exhale, hands sweep down the calves, forward fold. And then from here, heel toe your feet together so that your big toes are almost touching. And then on an inhale, bend your knees, reach your hands overhead. We're coming into chair pose. So you have a big bend here. Hips are sitting back like you were trying to sit in a chair. If this doesn't feel good in your arms, you can reach your arms behind you. Just find length in your neck. Nice, and then with an inhale, come all the way up. And then from here, we're gonna make our way into eagle. So a couple of options that I'll show. First, inhale your arms overhead, let your palms meet. Exhale them in front of your heart. The next time we do this, we're gonna sweep our arms up and then wrap one elbow under the other. So starting with the right elbow, inhale, reach your arms overhead. As you exhale, right elbow comes under left elbow or bear hug. It doesn't matter, whichever arm position you're doing. Then begin to sit your hips back and then begin to cross your right knee over your left. So a couple of options, if you can see, my left foot, you can't quite see, but my left toes can come down to the earth here. Or you can Velcro your left foot to your right calf, or even wrap it around. Either way, whatever you're doing, you're sitting your hips back. This is a balancing pose that builds strength. and provides a lot of different stretches. Send your elbows away from you. Find your breath, one more breath. Maybe sink your hips a little lower. On an inhale, come back to standing. Shake everything out. Bring your hands to your hips. Step back, high lunge. You guys have done this before. Take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, you're gonna lower your back knee all the way to your mat. We're coming into a low lunge now. Don't worry, we'll do the other side in a minute. Inhale, sweep your arms alongside your ears, lift your gaze. Exhale, cactus your arms, lunge forward. Inhale, reach your hands high again. Exhale your hands down to frame your foot. And then scoot your back knee back a little bit. So we're in this low lunge. Inhale, send your heart forward a little bit. And then as you exhale, straighten your front leg, lift the toes. So we're coming back into half splits. This is where blocks could come in handy carry. I normally would use them here. On your next inhale, re-bend your front knee, walk your hands forward. Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Exhale, straighten your front leg, half splits. Keep doing this a couple more rounds, this flow with your own breath cycle. And if you find that there's a place where you want to hang out for an extra breath, go ahead and do that. We're opening up the hip a little bit more here, getting a little bit more deeply into the muscles of the left leg. You might be feeling something in your right psoas, that big hip muscle in the front of your hip as well when you come forward. One more round wherever you are. And the next time you come forward, stay there, tuck your back toes under if they aren't already. Lift your back knee. So now you're in a high lunge with your hands touching your mat. Step back to plank. So you can either move through vinyasa here or go straight back to down dog. Your choice. Meeting in down dog. Inhale, lifting your heels up, looking forward, exhaling, stepping or hopping forward to the top of your mat. Inhaling, lifting up halfway. Exhale, fold. And then go ahead and do the same thing we did before. So heel toe your feet in towards each other so that your big toes are almost touching. And then sit back through your hips. Reach your arms alongside your ears or send them back behind you. Sit your hips back like you're trying to sit in a chair. Find length in the back of your neck. Release any tension from your jaw. One more breath here. And then on an inhale, come all the way up. Sweep your arms overhead. Allow your palms to meet. Exhale them down in front of your heart. Getting ready for eagle, second side. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead. This time, allow your left elbow to come underneath your right. Take whatever arm position you're planning to take. Get that set up first. Then begin to sit your hips back. Cross your left leg over your right. Again, option to use your right toes as a kick, or your left toes as a kickstand, or Velcro your foot to your calf, or wrap all the way around, just depending on where you're at today. Shift your elbows away from you, sit your hips back a little more. Breathe, knowing that we're strengthening our hips and our legs. Focusing our minds, and then with an inhale, come all the way up and release. Shake everything out. Nice job, you guys. And then coming back to the top of your mat, hands on your hips. Take a big step back with your left foot. Coming into a high lunge, second side. And then from here, begin to lower slowly down with control to your back knee, to your left knee. So we're in that low lunge again. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead. Lift your gaze. Exhale, cactus your arms, lunge forward slightly. Inhale, reach the fingertips high. Exhale, lower your hands down to frame your foot. Scoot your back leg back a little bit. And then we'll get ready for that same flow. So on an inhale, lift your heart a little bit. And then as you exhale, straighten your back leg. So my hands walk back with me as my, your right leg, and my right toes are lifted. And then inhaling, coming back into the lunge. Exhaling, straightening that front leg. Toes come up. Again, hanging out anywhere that feels good if you want to be there for an extra breath or two. If you find a spot. Couple more rounds, couple more breaths. Nice, and then the next time you come forward, tuck your back toes under if they weren't already. Lift your back knee, plant your palms, step back to either down dog or to plank. So you can move through one last vinyasa here, or just go straight to down dog. We're headed to child's pose, so if you're ready to go there now, go ahead. Otherwise, if you want to take last couple of breaths in down dog, your last down dog of this class, go ahead. And when you're ready, easing down onto your mat into a child's pose. You might rock your forehead, your head from side to side, massaging your forehead. Observing your breath. Noticing the beating of your heart, your pulse. Maybe it's moving a little more quickly than when we first started. Keeping your attention here in the space for a few more moments. Resisting the urge to think about what's next in your day. Noticing any sensations in your body. Feeling the texture of your mat underneath you. Few more breaths here. And begin to lift your head and torso, draw your hands towards your knees. We're gonna make our way onto our backs, so there's no rush to get there. Just take your time. I'm gonna adjust my monitor one more time. So when you get to your back, have your strap handy. We're gonna draw our knees in towards our chest again, and I like to use the strap behind my shins here, so my hands are on either side of my legs. Just do as like a stirring motion with your knees. I feel like the strap gives me a little bit more leverage. And then go the other direction. And then you might extend one leg long, like your left leg long, and keeping the strap around your right shin, and just take some circles, draw circles with that knee. Just getting into the hip a little bit more. Maybe switching directions on that side. And then switching knees, so bringing the strap behind your left shin only, right leg extends long. Just take some circles on this side. And then remove the strap
And then just draw your knees in towards your chest again. So I like to have my knees open here, rocking from side to side. Might take a happy baby here. So reaching for the soles of your feet, soles of the feet, press up towards the sky. Rocking from side to side. And we'll do 2 rounds of bridge here before Savasana. So bring your feet down to your mat, just like how we started earlier today. And then again, your arms are extended along your sides. See if you can touch your heels with your fingertips. So your feet should be parallel and about hips distance apart. And this time we're just gonna leave our hands down. So we're not gonna do that flowing bridge. So on an inhale, press into your feet, begin to lift your hips. Lift your hips as high as they will go. Notice if your knees want to splay out. See if you can draw them towards each other to keep your thighs more or less parallel. And your hands can be pressing down, your arms can be pressing down into your mat, or you can roll your shoulders under and interlace your hands behind your back. Lift your hips a little higher if you can. Keep that energetic energy drawing your knees towards each other a little bit. Press into your hands or your arms. Inhale, see if you can lift your hips a little higher. Exhale, begin to unroll your shoulders if you had your arms interlaced and lower down vertebrae by vertebrae, coming all the way down to your mat. And then take constructive rest. So that was what we did in the beginning, where your feet are at the outer edges of your mat and your knees are tented. This is a nice counter pose to bridge. Couple breaths here. We're going to do 1 more round. Begin to heel toe your feet back to parallel. Reach down, make sure you can touch your heels more or less with your fingers. And then on an inhale, press into your feet. Lift your hips, coming into your bridge again. Drawing the knees towards each other, keeping the thighs parallel-ish. And then perhaps rolling your arms, your shoulders under, taking the opposite interlace of your hands, if you did that before. Breathing here, pressing into your feet, lifting your hips a little higher. Take an inhale. And then with an exhale, begin to slowly unwind, roll back down, 1 vertebrae at a time. Take constructive rest. And then we're going to do 1 more thing before Savasana, 1 more eagle related posture, which should feel good. So go ahead and bring your knees back to parallel and then cross your right knee over your left, just like we did before when we were doing the sit-ups. And then allow your knees to come down to the left side of your mat, so sort of together. And then you can bring your arms out to a T if you'd like, or you can bring your left hand on top of your right thigh. So 1 more supine twist. Your gaze can be overhead or slightly over your right shoulder. And breathe. And then with an inhale, you can move through center as you're ready. Change the cross of your legs and allow your knees to come down to the right. Again, maybe taking your right hand on top of your left thigh. Gaze might be slightly over your left shoulder. And as you're ready with an inhale, come back up. And then any final movement that you feel drawn to take before Savasana, go ahead and do that now. One last happy baby or knees to chest. Or if you're ready for Savasana, just go ahead and extend your legs long. Allow your arms to relax by your sides. Or maybe it feels good to have a hand on your belly. Or both. Take these last few moments to fully relax and remain in the present moment.